Here in Haverford Township, we are dedicated to the preservation of our history and culture. Through the simplest of local events, we have found a way to honor our past and bring the community together as we enjoy the present and build our future. On June 1st, 2008, the Haverford Township Historical Society hosted a Heritage Festival, where members of our community were given the opportunity to come out to Caracombe Drive and experience a taste of our rich history and culture. Local residents were able to take part in various activities run by costumed reenactors, portraying individuals from the 17 and 1800s, visit Niter Hall and Lawrence Cabin, and talk to members of the Historical Society. There was something for everyone: pony rides, old-fashioned games, and a scavenger hunt for the kids, a beer and wine tasting tent for adults, and live music, square dancing, antique cars, a photography exhibit, and great food for the whole family. In addition, arts and crafts vendors displayed their wares for sale, and local non-profit groups set up displays to educate people about issues and activities in the township. Seeing our citizens, young and old, gather together to celebrate our rich past and vibrant present, even just for one day, gives us all a sense of hope and appreciation for our treasured community. Now you will be greeted by a young volunteer from our township, who will introduce the various reenactors, local business owners, history lovers, and dedicated township officials who were present at the Haverford Township Historical Society's 2008 Heritage Festival.
I'm Kevin Shields, and today I'm going to take you along a journey to find out more about our community's history. This is Tricia Woodman, who's the chairperson of the 2008 Heritage Festival.
First, sort of got the idea of trying to plan some sort of festival. What I found out is that the Heritage Festival is really not a new idea. It's something we used to do years ago in the township, but it hadn't been done for a while. So when I brought the topic up, I had a lot of support from everyone on the board. They said, go ahead, go for it, and they helped me in whatever way they could. And then I tapped into a lot of my own friends and acquaintances and people that I knew from the township that had an interest in history, that had an interest in helping. And with that group of people, we just reached out to everyone we could, all the businesses, all the people, and everybody really stepped up, and it was really a great success last year. And this year, I think it's even more so. We have even more people and even more organizations, and lots of great things going on.
Yeah, you sure are doing a great job. Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Here we have Philadelphia's run-of-the-mill string band. They are a great ensemble that makes some of the best of old-time American music that you can find. For over 20 years, they've been serving our community by participating in the old-time music scene of Philadelphia. They preserve the old tradition of their music, while at the same time trying to make it their own.
Short pond here. Hide away, hide away, hide away, hide away. You gotta steal a board and hide away. Get your baggage on the deck. Don't forget to get your check, and you gotta steal a board and hide away.
Here we have Bill, a member of the Historical Car Club in Pennsylvania.
Well, we have a 1932 Chevrolet Sport Coupe, our Sport Roadster, rumble seat. It's been restored. It's won its a national award back in 1981 at Hershey. It's been maintained by its previous owner, and I bought it about a year ago. And I hope I can continue to maintain it in the same condition that the previous owner did.
31 Model A Ford Town Sedan, up Wall Street, 4-cylinder engine that holds 10 gallons of gas. That has 4-wheel brakes, a lot of modern innovations for that year. A self-starter, didn't have to crank the car. The car has a unique history. It came from North Africa. A French farmer bought it in 1931, had it shipped over there. He didn't have roads to run on. They drove it on the farm, stopped running when it had 3,200 miles on it, and he shoved it in the barn. It sat there until 1967. A U.S. Navy man stationed over there heard about the car. He got it running, and when he bought it from the guy, got it running, and when he was discharged, brought it back to this country. I was the 5th owner, and I restored the car.
Here we have Joe DeAngelis here to show us his 1934 Plymouth sedan. So tell us a little bit about the car, Joe.
I bought the car about a year ago. I bought it from one of the other gentlemen that you spoke to earlier, Bill Kinnett. And I try to get it out to the shows. It's pretty much original the way I bought it. And I have 3 boys, and they really enjoy going out in it, and we really just have a good time with it.
Hi, I'm Al Bianchi, president of the Historical Car Club of Pennsylvania. Today we're looking at a 67 Pontiac GTO. It's got an original air car, 400 with ram air, and you can see from the engine. Black interior, it's all stock. Had the car for about a year now. Value on the car is probably around $55,000. It's a GTO, 67.
Here I am with Don Kelly, president of the Haverford Township Civic Council.
We have 41 member organizations, neighborhood civic associations, League of Women Voters, library, fire stations. All the civic groups, the community betterment groups have joined together and come together to work on community-wide issues through this organization. So each 2 years we establish the priorities of the organization for the next 2 years through a voting process. And right now our 4 priorities, first of all, is improvement of the business districts. Some of our business districts are getting a little old and shabby looking, and we have plans now to revitalize those districts. Second priority is for a new library for the community. The library is old also and needs a new structure and needs a lot more parking. A third priority is improvement of a train station that's a major point of entry and exit for the people in the community. It's the Ardmore Junction train station on the Route 100 line. And the fourth priority is to work with the rest of the county on a greenway that connects all the green spaces through the county from north to south. And it goes through Haverford Township, and so we're working with others to establish a nice public access greenway. So those are, we have about a half-mile strip that we want to make into more of a Main Street, center of town type of place, instead of just a place that cars whiz through. So our plan is to create a nice, pleasant, comfortable walkway for pedestrians with little places to sit down, encourage some sidewalk type of cafes and restaurants, ice cream parlors. So it would be a fun place to go, even for kids your age, where you can gather someplace and not get chased away. So that's what we're hoping to do. The township is very supportive of the idea, and our goal is to create this walkway along Eagle Road in the next 4 years to celebrate, have it finished by 2012, which will be the 100th anniversary of this township.
Hi, I'm Addie Chinella, the director of Haverford Township Free Library, and I want to highlight the plans that we have for a new library. We have been working with Wallace, Roberts, and Todd. We received a grant from through Senator Connie Williams' office to hire WRT to start working with us to create plans for a new library. The site that we are focusing on is the Swell Gums site, and this is a rendition of a new 50,000 square foot library. It would have a 250-seat auditorium and a cafe, and it would have enough space where teens would finally have their own area, where there would be quiet space, computer space, business space. What I mean by that is a place where people who are starting a business or have small businesses can come and network together, use our resources. It also would allow for programming both inside and outside. This is actually the upstairs area, if excuse my hand. And upstairs would be the quiet space, and where the teens would be. There's seating all along the window sections. This was a completely sustainably designed building, so everything in it would be green, it would be energy efficient. These are the ground plans for it. This is the cafe, the auditorium, outside garden space for children's programming, a green roof. So we're very excited about this. Many of the people in the community are very excited too. We've had a lot of people sign our petition, and if you'd like to come to the library and sign the petition to support building a new library, we would very much appreciate that. We look forward to moving on with this. We know that the planning process takes a long time, but that's why we want to hear from everybody to know that we're on the right track. That's a big news at the Haverford Township Free Library. There's summer reading programs for everybody. We encourage you to come to that, and we also want you to save the date for the 2008 Open the Book Gala, which is going to be October the 18th, featuring the Can You Land Sea Ensemble. So we look forward to seeing everybody at that, and we'll have more information out.
Hi, here we have the Mountain Man in Nider Hall, here to talk a bit about what he does here and show us how to fire this musket.
Well, I'm portraying the mountain men, the ones who went west early in the 1800s to trap beaver. Beaver was a very valuable commodity. We would either trap it ourselves or we would trade with the Indians. You know, the Indians had never had iron tools until the Europeans came here. This is the axe handle. You'd call it a tomahawk, but we call it a trade axe. And these were shipped from Europe just like this. All right? And we would make the handles over here. And you put it on, thus and so. That's your tomahawk. Okay? So the Indians would give us 6 or 8 beaver pelts for one of those axes. My brother-in-law was he had a Navy Colt revolver, and he took me out one day, and you know what got you interested? The first time you shot it, you got a good score, so you were hooked. It's just like fishing. If you went out fishing for the first time and you caught a nice one, you became hooked on fishing. If you didn't have any luck at all, you probably wouldn't fish anymore. And if I hadn't missed a target, you know, not gotten a good score, I probably wouldn't have gotten into it. But because I got a good score, I got hooked on it. Okay?
So why don't you show us this?
All right, I have already loaded it. Captain place. Rich, hold your ears.
That's quite something.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing us that.
You're welcome. Gosh, you're good.
Hi, I'm Bob Klinger. Nice to meet you, and thanks for having us over. What I have here is a forge. In the forge, I have charcoal, and with a blast of air from this blower, I can, of course, when the air blows over coals, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And that's what you want to do, because iron becomes very malleable when it's hot. Bend that up without any trouble whatsoever. And then you can make a hook. You make many different things. I want to move the camera over here. There are a lot of different things that you would find in the kitchen. This is a skewer holder that I made. These are the skewers that would hang over a kitchen fireplace, and you'd use those skewers to put the meat onto your spit. This here are the elements that go into making a trivet. You would use that to put your pot on. And right here are the elements that go into making a rush light. These were the early lights that were used by people, and the blacksmith would make those.
Well, you're doing a great job. Thanks for showing us.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Pretty good.
Good.
So, Ray, what exactly is a Windsor chair?
Windsor chair is an English chair that was made primarily as a poor person's chair back in the early 1700s in England. And it's if you've ever seen a dining room chair where the back of the dining room chair continues down and it becomes the legs, the rear legs of the dining room chair, the Windsor chair is not like that. The legs are independent of the back of the chair. And if we could take a look at this chair over here, I could show you why that's so. You see that the legs are constructed in such a way that they fit up into the seat of the chair, so that the legs and the back of the chair are completely independent from one another. And that's what makes a unique element of the Windsor chair. Also, the fact that they're called Windsor primarily because of Windsor Castle in England. They were discovered on the Windsor property as stick furniture, much like our Adirondack furniture that's been made. And the Windsor chairs were developed in several styles. This is what they call a sack-back Windsor because of the bow in the back with this crown that gives it a sack appearance. There were comb-back Windsors, and there were also what they call continuous arm Windsors, where the arm, instead of being in two pieces, came up around the back and came down like this. So that was the Windsor chair development, if you will. The nice part about a Windsor chair is the fact that the more you use a Windsor chair, the stronger it gets. And the reason behind that strength, if you can allow me, this is, if you can imagine, this is the seat of the chair, and this is the leg. Notice the taper. And the taper actually fits the leg up into the seat of the chair. And it's very strong. Try to pull that out. Don't twist it, just pull. And you'll notice that it doesn't pull out very easily. But if you twist it, it can be taken apart. And the reason for that, as I said, is this taper, which naturally allows for the strength of the chair. Hence, the more you use it, the stronger the taper seats and the stronger the chair becomes.
So, tell us a bit about what you have here, as in how a Windsor chair is made.
Well, what I've been doing is explaining to people what tools are used in the construction of a Windsor chair. Obviously, the lathe, which is what these are turned on, is not here because it's too big to bring. But these are turned out of maple wood. The seats are made from pine. There's a seat over there in the process of being made. And the bent elements are made of red oak, as you can see here. Now these are elements that are just like the chair over there, and they will be a chair in the future. Now our carved elements, or what we call the carved elements, the shaped elements, are made using this device called a shaving horse. And the purpose of the shaving horse is to be able to hold an element while you're working on it, but to allow you to hold it still so that you can work on the element, and at the same time release it quickly to turn it to continue to work on it. And that's what this is all about, the shaving horse.
All right, well, thank you, Ray. It's very interesting and very nice talking to you.
Our pleasure. Thanks. I hope I didn't get...
Hi, this is Sylvia, who makes butter here at Mater Hall. So tell us a bit about what you have.
Okay, right here we have a butter churn from the 1800s, and what you do is they would get the cream and milk from the cow. The cream would settle to the top of the bucket. They would then get the cream, pour it into the churn here, put the top on, and then they would churn for approximately 10-15 minutes. It all depends upon the weather. And then after a while, they would just remove the top, and they would have two products made. Here's our churn. Notice there are 4 paddles. One turn You have the 4 paddles going around 4 times. So that much easier than in the 1700s. Then they'd have 2 different products. You'd have buttermilk and butter.
Well, everybody believes or thinks at the time, the colonial period, that most of the people used candles to light their house. And that's not really the case. They used a lot of different devices. They used what they had available to them. This device right here is known as a rush lamp. And this is a piece of rush. And you can harvest this from a field or a stream, a meadow. And you can take this home and you can dip it in animal fat or tallow that you've rendered down from your farm animals. And you can pinch it in here and you can light it and it will provide you some light. There are other 2 devices here. These are called grease lamps. You can't get that one apart. And you do the same kind of a thing. You would put animal fat or tallow in here. You would drop a wick out of here, and you could light it, and it would provide you with some light. Later on, and in the more metropolitan areas, they were able to get things like this. This is called a spout lamp. These 2 spout lamps are Dutch in origin and design. And you could put whale oil or some other burnable liquid in here. You would put a wick out here, close it up, light it, and the thing on the bottom would catch any of the excess oil and it would run it back into the reservoir. The same thing is true with this one. This is a little different in the sense that you put the oil in here. You'll notice a little hole right in here, and there's a rim. The excess oil from the burning of the wick, the oil would go back in here and go back into the reservoir.
Here to talk about colonial toys. So what kind of toys do you have here?
Well, I have a whirligig from Williamsburg. You see, this is a coin from Williamsburg. You see it has the king's coat of arms on this. The way it works is that you put your 3 fingers, and you just do this, and then you pull, and you try to do it as long as you can. Now, they used to play a game called Ringer, and this is called Billabo Catcher. They used to play these during the Egyptian times, and it was made from Spain and then adopted to the colonies. And the way it works is that you try to get the ball into the Billabo catcher. Let's see if I can do it.
That's pretty good.
Is that sometimes they put like a penny here, and then it'll go to the second one, or it'll go backwards. And those are the colonial toys.
Thank you very much.
Here we have Mary Lisa, who's making cornbread on 2 different types of ovens.
Okay, to the left here we have what is called a Dutch oven. It has to be preheated with the coals, so the coals go under the oven here and on top, and the cornbread is baking inside. Okay. So that's our Dutch oven, and then over here we have what we call a reflector oven. The reflector oven is just pulled up as close to the fire as possible, and the heat is reflected, which bakes the cornbread there. The fire is just the most important part of the hearth here for heat, light, and cooking, baking. And now Donna will tell you a little bit more about the cabin.
Okay, I'd like to tell you and show you a few things in the cabin. To my right is the rope bed. I'll go over to it right now. Now, if you lived in this house, in this cabin, we had a very large family, and generally the parents would sleep downstairs. Mom and Dad would sleep in this little bed together. People were much smaller in 1710, and this is a rope bed. And I'll show you looks like. This is called a bed key or bed wrench, and you use this to tighten ropes of your bed. These pegs take up the slack, and you would pull it and then tighten it that way. This is a ticking mattress, and it's made out of straw. Now, a lot of times, when you're a child, you hear the expression, sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite, and that meaning sleep tight means to tighten ropes of your bed, and don't let the bed bugs bite means to make sure you check the straw, because insects like to hide in there and they can come through the ticking and bite you at night. So, neat little thing. Another thing we have here is called a Betty light, which is, I call it a colonial night light. Because you have to imagine it got very, very dark in the woods at night. and you put a little whale oil and a wick inside, and you would keep it as a soft light for when you had to use the chamber pot, which is right here. These are chamber pots, which, you know, if you had to go during the evening, you had to go. And this is what they look like. Usually you kept them under the bed. As you know, this cabin was built in about 1710. It was not always here. It was situated where Barnaby's restaurant is, near the creek. And here's some photos of how it originally looked. It was called the three-generation house because as the family grew, they stayed together and they just kept building on.
Well, very interesting. Thanks for showing us parts of the cabin.
Oh, you're welcome. Come again.
We're now here with beekeeper Hazel, who's about to tell us about these crates. So what exactly are these crates?
Well, when we ordered bees for the Grange estate, we ordered 3 boxes of bees because we have 3 hives to fill. So the supplier in Georgia sends them in this little crate. And inside this little crate, there's a little package of sugar water for the bees to eat and the queen. And she is just inside here. And as you can see from this picture, they're loaded, full of bees. So when we get them, we take them over to the hive, we spray them with sugar water to calm them down and they get something to eat and they're nice and full and they don't want to go anywhere. And then we open up this and we open up the hive and we dump them all into the top of the hive. Then we take our queen in here and we make sure that the plug is out of the bottom. And so this is so the other bees can eat through the sugar plug and get into her and get her out. They're all dumped down. We're just waiting for her. Then we put the lid on and we walk away and let her do it. In about 2 days she will be out of there. The worker bees will have taken her out and she'll have settled into the hive and away we go. And this is what they start doing almost immediately. They start making their comb. There it is. This one was actually fashioned around where she was hanging in the hive. They built all this. It's all full of honey, all ready to go. In about 4 days time. And that was, they did that in 4 days. Really, really wonderful. So that's how we got the bees. And you can believe that the post office was quite happy for us to take the bees off there.
Bees first go out to look for pollen and nectar. They'll go out to find some flowers. And the first bee to find it is known as the scout. The workers are all female. And the scout comes back and she'll go into the hive and she'll do a little wiggle dance. She'll wiggle, 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 and then turn and wiggle again, and then turn the other way and wiggle again. She'll wiggle in the same direction. And if she's wiggling straight up, she's telling the other bees to fly toward the sun to find the honey, find the flowers. If she wiggles 20 degrees to the right of vertical, she's telling them to fly 20 degrees to the right of the sun. If she's wiggling straight down, she's saying fly to the opposite direction of the sun. And each wiggle is a distance, so the number of wiggles tells them how far to go. Also, she'll have pollen on her body, so they'll know what kind of flower to look for when they get to that destination. Now, Dr. Gould, who teaches at Princeton, and he and his wife write books on bees, when he was a student, he developed an experiment to show this. So he put a pan of sugar water a certain distance from a hive, say 20 feet, and he took a stopwatch. He waited until the scout found the sugar water, went back, did her dance, and then the other bees arrived. When he timed that, he took that distance, multiplied it times 2.5, and put the pan of sugar water at point B. Repeated the experiment. Then he multiplied the distance from the hive to point B times 2.5 and put it at point C. He decided to do it one more time, so the distance from the hive to point C multiplied times 2.5, and he and his workers were pacing off across the field, and when they got to that location, there were 200 bees waiting for them at the exact location. So these bees had figured out the formula, calculated the location, and they were already there. That's why bees have survived for thousands of years.
Well, that's very impressive. Thank you for talking.
You're welcome.
This is Miss Sherry Jenkins here of Creative Memories, here to tell us about what she does. So what exactly does Creative Memories do?
Creative Memories is a company that's dedicated to teaching people how to safely preserve their memories in a variety of different ways. So I do this as a home-based business, and I kind of instruct people what to do with their photographs and other photographic memories so that they can keep them long-term. So we teach people how to do a variety of different preserving options for their memories. What we're most well known for probably is our traditional scrapbooking. Something like this. This is chronicling your history, and this is where you can take some of the old photos of your family and really get them into a safe place so that your family can enjoy them for a long time coming. And then we also have the here and now photos, such as grandchildren and children and school days and all of the memories that you have of what's going on right now, what your children are involved in, and you can do traditional scrapbooking for that. And we have a variety of different sizes. Then we have some quickie albums back here called pick folios, and those are for people who maybe don't have all the time and don't want to spend all the time cutting and pasting, aren't as crafty for the traditional scrapbooks. They can do something a little faster but still very safe to get their photos into an album. So whether you want to preserve your memories so that everybody can see them visibly hanging, or storybooks that you do on the computer, or regular albums that you'd like to share with your family and friends, we can do all that and teach you how to do it too.
All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Jenkins, for showing us this.
I do scroll saw work, which is wood, and what I do is stuff like this here, nativity. It's 4 pieces. I cut that out by hand on a scroll saw.
Here we have Ann Phillips selling the jewelry that she makes herself. So what do you have here today, Ann?
Well, I have hand-beaded jewelry. Everything here is semi-precious stones and sterling silver, or gold-filled. I hand make everything myself, and I have home parties, and I am just so happy to be here and support the Historical Society.
Thank you very much.
As we reach the end of this video, I would like to say that the Historical Society of Haverford Township is proud to play a key part in the preservation of our local heritage.